Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Weebs of the Ring, episode 73, presented by Anima Weebs Studio to the spin-off channel. Welcome, and if you're new to the channel, we appreciate you guys for being here to the spin-off. Subscribe, like the video, and let us know your damn thoughts. Because you guys think that Vash went to Burger King? No, we had a YouTube issues going on, but hey, without talking about the Burger King, because this is not a sponsored video, this is a Stampede time. So without further ado, our world title is Gunther versus Sami. Gunther went out on top. He defeated the guy that defeated him in WrestleMania for the IC title. And then now we got the mid-card stories. We got CM Punk. He is studying the effects of the Hell in a Cell. And then Seth Rollins, him sees eye to eye, but he says that we're gonna have a match. Bronson Reed, just let me know the time and place where. Braun Breaker wrecks the house to everyone on Jey Uso match versus Xavier Woods. The Miz wants to have a one-on-one with R-Truth with Karrion Kross on the side, and then we have Sheamus defeats Pete Dunne. We have the 10-woman tag, and then at the right end, the barely people that show up to work was Judgment Day. Other than that, that's our show for Raw, the Stampede. So without further ado, let's start the goddamn show and have a good time.
I gotta mute this.
Welcome.
Welcome. Okay, good. Sorry. Normally, Mr. Whopper King here gives me a nice little point at the camera, and no points at the camera. I guess.
My apologies.
I guess his.
Yeah.
I guess his hands are still good.
Yeah, keep your hands front and centered, buddy.
But welcome everybody. So who are we? Well, with anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a trio of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling events of the evening, good, bad, or crappy otherwise. We will give our thoughts and opinions and predictions on what's to come and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So be sure to grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience unlike any other. We are, of course, brought to you by Anima Weebs Studio, and this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast on the brand new channel known as Weebs of the Ring. Hopefully you guys are having a great and awesome Monday. Be sure to check out our description as well, because there's going to be some links to some brand new places that you can talk to us, the Weebs of the Ring. And who are the Weebs of the Ring? Well, I am, of course, your world champion, Watkins, here to guide you guys through a decent but also kind of crappy episode of Raw. But I'm always joined by my other two fellow weebs. First off, on our right, getting home from his big old Whopper meal, Vash, the legend himself. Vash, how you doing tonight?
Is the Visionary has returned for Monday Night Rollins. He said and announced that, yo, Bronson Reed, going to see a one-on-one soon. Then tell me the time, place, and where. And I'm excited to see that. Is Seth Rollins going to pull Bronson Reed over? We're about to see in weeks of time. And happy we didn't see Oldberg on the show.
At least yet. Also, chat, I need you guys. I have a task for you guys real quick. I need fan art of Vash sitting at his desk in his computer with a big old Burger King crown on his head. Thank you for that. And on to our left, we have the genius of the mat himself. Drop this box. Drop, how you doing tonight?
I am doing pretty good, and this was not so good Raw. Just gonna point it out there. Can't really sugarcoat it or anything. There was a couple things I liked, but for the most part, I really wasn't feeling it. I mean, it probably explains why I missed a couple spots within the matches itself when we were talking about the show, because I was more focused on, I mean, normally when you're watching a program like this, you're just chilling, relaxing. I'm doing dishes while the show's on, so it's like, not giving me that much to invest in.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, folks. I was looking at my phone a lot and looking at the time. I'm like, man, I could be playing Sparking Zero right now instead of some of this Raw. But hey, that just means that our in-house optimist Vash needs to pull some more weight tonight as we go through our discussions with optimism through his soul. Man. But we're going to start off with our world title match, which is also going to be our headline story tonight. We had Gunther taking on Sami Zayn, Gunther retaining his title in a well-fought contest against Sami Zayn. I thought the match was pretty good. I mean, it didn't really hit the gear I was expecting until maybe like the last 5-7 minutes or so. But
I would agree.
now, yeah.
At 9:53 is when I saw everything started hooking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it was almost the end of the night, and it's just like, oh, now we're gonna turn the gears on, and it's like, oh, great, now I'm thoroughly sports entertained. But like, it was kind of slow starting out, and I mean, it was still good though. But we at least got our main event, I'm assuming, for Crown Jewel set up between Gunther and Cody Rhodes. But hey, what do you guys thought of the match itself, and I guess where we're going towards everything?
Look, I would like to go first since I'm the optimistic. I feel like I'm gonna probably bring in some positives in here into the show, some positive love. Love and peace for anybody that understands the reference for Vash, the Stampede from Trigon. I would say this. The coolest thing about this, that story and booking wise, I like what Triple H is doing when it comes to the Crown Jewel aspect, that he's treating that the face of Raw and the face of SmackDown are the champions of both shows. And with the concept of, even though they have this ugly ass title that I have behind me, it's a piece of shit. However, that it would look good enough for whoever wins, and they're treating it as Cody's interested. Gunther saw him eye to eye at the end of the match, and Cody even said when he came in, like, hey, I believe he was talking to Cafty, saying that, hey, I just want to see what it takes to be the world title winner. So it just felt nice to at least not treat it as a second title, but like a first title of the show of Raw compared to SmackDown. The world title of that version is Cody, so that felt like a nice feud. So I see what Triple H is. That's what Triple H, I feel like he's trying to bring back to the careness of what 10 years, 12 years ago it was, with the world title on one show and the WWE on the other. So they're trying to really respect that and give that same tier, I would call it. So that's what I would say. When it comes to the match, I would say it was good, not great. I do agree that the last 7-8 minutes were solid. I felt like at 9:53 is when my, like, why I was doing my clothes, like Drop say, sometimes when you do the show, you're doing dishes or doing some house chores, and I was doing my clothes, folding them. Then like the last 8 minutes, I was hooked to seeing the screen. I'm like, oh shit, there's some hype shit. Seeing that going out at 2.99999 is what they kept saying. So like that was really dope to see. Like the energy was there. We got our boy Hulk of Sami Zayn, being hype out. But I'll say that's the real highlights for me, is trying to understand the booking from Triple H perspective, and also trying to see what's going on here.
Okay. There were some points I could see with that, with like the whole, trying to make one title not seem secondary to the other. Unfortunately, I think we're gonna be getting that feeling anyways, because whoever wins this thing at Crown Jewel is basically gonna be the second, like the runner-up with everything, which is part of the problem with having this Crown Jewel champion be contested against like two world champions and all that. But I'm gonna turn it over to you, Drop, because you seem to have some very physical reactions to a lot of stuff involving like this match and the Crown Jewel main event.
Yeah, so when it comes to like Gunther and Sammy's match, like the last part of the match, it's like you guys really drew me in. Like I wasn't expecting the match to be bad by any means, because it's kind of hard for these two to have a bad match, period. That's just something that they don't deliver to us. You never see bad matches out of a Sami or Gunther. They usually like go all out and give us the best that they possibly can. So the last part of the match I really did like, but especially the sleeper spot. I mean, you have Sami going out like that.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine. At least it shows that he was fighting before he got passed out. But My initial thoughts when it comes to this Crown Jewel Championship, since we last talked about it on Saturday, I'm not really a big fan of it at all. Like, I don't want to be one of those people, and it's fine if you're like this, if you want to look at it a different direction, because at the end of the day, everybody has their own opinions on stuff, and if someone feels a certain way about something, that's completely fine. I'm not against it or anything, but just to speak on my behalf, I'm not really a big fan of it because, to me, if you currently look at what's going on right now when it comes to Cody and Gunther, they don't really need a loss when it comes to both of their characters right now, because one of the biggest things you got to keep in mind is you got to book your champions to be strong, especially if a lot of shit that's being thrown at Cody right now. I mean, he needs to be looking like God at this point for all these people coming after his ass. So it's like him factoring into this potentially getting a loss isn't going to really help with that. Same with Gunther, we all know how Gunther is. We all know that he's capable of doing many, many things that we've seen with him ever since we came in contact with him. So, like, I understand. So if you look at it from that point of view, it's like they don't really need to fight for a title for, like, bragging rights, because that's essentially what this Crown Jewel Championship is. It's for bragging rights. It's for them to go off and say, "Oh, I'm the better champion within WWE." Cody's like, "Oh, I'm better than you, Gunther." Gunther's like, "Oh, I'm better than you. I'm better than you, Cody." So it's like I'm just not really a big fan of it, because I just think it's just one of those things that we tend to run into when we go to these Saudi shows, which I'll admit, compared to the past few years, the Saudi shows have been presented a lot better, because if you were saying this like a couple years ago, can't really get that much out of it, but now they're at least trying to do something with it.
Here we go.
Let's try this
But
again.
but I'm just not the biggest fan of like this whole entire concept, because if you look at Cody and Gunther in general, that's a big money match, and that's like that's not a match that you put on like a B level pay-per-view, or I wouldn't even say you would put that on like a Survivor Series or anything. That's literally a WrestleMania match. Those are two top performers. Actually, I'll say if you want to put it on one of the big four pay-per-view, fine, but to me, I consider that a WrestleMania match. And if you want to build something like that to that caliber when it comes to both of these guys, they need to be pushed a lot. You need like a lot more story behind that. I get why they're doing it, because when they go to Saudi, you want all these big matches and stuff like that. But I'm just not a big fan of it, because I'm the kind of person where if you throw a story at me, like let's say hypothetically out of the blue, if Ilya Dragunov wasn't injured and he actually was fine, and you wanted to do him and Gunther at a pay-per-view, I would want them to flesh that out a little bit more, because we know the history behind both of these characters. We know that they're top performers. It's just me basically saying that we know who these guys are. They just deserve better treatment, and it's just,
I have a question.
when it comes to the whole thing with this Crown Jewel Championship, like, it's different from other people, because maybe some people hop in at a later date and they weren't really around seeing all of this happen. But since I've seen a lot of the Saudi shows, this is just another one of those things where it's like, okay, we're in Saudi, we got to do something special, just like the greatest Royal Rumble. And it's just coming from somebody that's lived through it, knowing what they're doing for this specific reason. I'm not a fan of it. What I would personally do, that I did bring up to Watkins, when we talked about earlier, was the fact that I would have done this where Cody, Gunther, Liv, and Nia wasn't a part of it. I would have this be a ongoing tournament throughout the weeks leading up to Crown Jewel, and then you could have the final two out of that tournament compete and go and do the title that way. If you did that concept, I would have been fine with it. It's just when you get the champions from both shows involved, I'm not a fan of that. But if it was a tournament and you had some upcoming starts that could actually use the momentum, let's say hypothetically you got like a Carmelo and Andrade at like the finals or something like that, or you did one, or like, let's say you did like a Bron Breakker or Carmelo Hayes at like this event. That would be something nice for them, because we know those are upcoming guys and they could actually do something with something like that. It could be like, okay, I'm Carmelo Hayes, I'm Bron Breakker, I'm gonna be a big thing one day. So if you used it to push upcoming talent besides like our champions, then I wouldn't have minded it.
I have a question for that. Then you get the perspective of this. Would it have changed or helped if Sami Zayn won versus Gunther when Cody said
No.
it would have been nice to fight you and everything at Saudi?
No.
And maybe that would have connected to something with the bloodline to live up to War Games. Would that have changed your perspective in that aspect?
Probably not. Only because I just wouldn't want to see Cody and Sami going up against each other, because Sami at that point, if he did win tonight, he would need to be booked strong since he just became the champion. And if I was looking between Cody and Sami of which one would go over, I know Triple H would probably favor into putting Cody over, because you could even look at how Bad Blood is. I forgot to mention this on the show. You had Cody come out first before Roman, so when you do sort of things like that,
That bothered me.
It basically like, yeah, that's your WWE champion. It basically shows like, okay, you know, even though Cody is our WWE champion, they still have a lot of eyes on Roman. So me looking at that from a perspective between Cody and Sami, they would still go with Cody. And at the same time, same reasons I gave for Gunther and Cody and Liv and Nia, I would want them to be not part of this and just have other competitors treating it. Like they could have done something similar how they did early in the year with the King and Queen of the Ring. If they did something like that, I wouldn't have any issues with this at all. You would hear no complaints from me, but I would personally just have it separate from the champions. I get it. They're in Saudi. They want big matches. But at the same time, you could have gotten like our Carmelo Hayes and Bron Breakker on the main roster if they wanted one Raw guy and one SmackDown guy. At least spice it up and make it interesting. That's all.
Oh, I agree. They would have found a way. Champ, by the way, Watkins will be right back. There's such a little hiccup on the Wi-Fi internet side. By the way,
Yeah.
I want to take also this moment for anybody, any fans, any fan members that live in Florida, that lives in the South, in the East Coast. Please be safe. Please be careful out there. Within this week. That's all I want
definitely.
To say.
Hopefully, all right down there at the Performance Center too.
Exactly, and plus almost NXT. So a lot of the wrestlers live out there. They have houses out there. I think Zelina has her house out there as well. So just a lot of fans just need to be safe out there.
I think that might be like a home base for a lot of them.
Yeah. It's probably a home base because it's easier
few.
for them. Yeah, like it's probably easier to commute because people right at the Performance Center. It's just easier to buy houses, things like that. So it's easier for that. But I just want to take that moment to tell the audience and fans of where is our host and where did he go and disappear to, and take that moment to tell the audience just to be safe out there in the world.
Oh yeah,
because,
definitely.
It's hard to really call this like a level 5 type of hurricane. So I just want to really give that moment to best wishes for everybody, please, and safety.
Yeah. But I didn't mean to go on that little tangent. It's just a personal thing. I'm just not really a big fan of it. If it was used at a different direction, like I explained, I wouldn't have minded. It's just when you throw champions in there and they're competing against one another for just the sake of getting a title you're never going to see on television again. I mean, it doesn't do anything for me.
We just gotta see what's up next with this storyline of the continuation of this, because I'm not saying that I feel the exact way of you do, because you're not wrong in that department. It just depends where we go with the Crown Jewel, because this match was good. Could have been better. Was it better than the previous matches? I had to compare. Because the last 8 minutes with Sami Zayn and Gunther, I'm trying to relate back to.
Oh, I would say their first match was better than this, definitely.
Yeah, because this one, because this one was good, but like the last 8 minutes were great. The last 20, 30 minutes, it's hard to say because the whole entrance and everything came down. But match overall, I was something that I could have finally see. I saw online. Look, there's something that was bothering me from online that I saw. It was.
What'd you see?
What would have happened if Sami won on the Monday Night Raw? And that kind of threw me off a bit because it's like people complain that we don't have no stakes on a regular Monday Night Raw. We don't have any hype on a regular type of Friday Night SmackDown. So it's like, oh, everything has to be on a PoE. Everything has to be won or lost on a PoE. So that takes away to where Jey Uso won an IC title on the Monday Night Raw, and it was a great ass moment. But for a world title, people will still be iffy when Jeff Hardy won. I think his first title, I believe, on Monday Night Raw, or I believe on Friday Night SmackDown back then. So like as an example.
I feel like when it comes to Sami, because like Sami Zayn and like Jey Uso's different when it comes to well, I'll just say this: when it comes to Sami Zayn, this has been an ongoing quest for Sami Zayn for quite some time, and if they were actually no, I'll phrase it like this: if they were to pull the trigger on Sami Zayn tonight, you would have noticed that there would have been a lot more thought put into this match. Like, they would be hyping this shit like crazy, just like how they did with Jey Uso. Like, ever since Sami first came up to the main roster, it's been an ongoing quest ever since the very beginning of him eventually becoming world champion. Just like how Jey Uso wanted to win a singles title to separate himself from his family so he's actually able to achieve things on his own. Same thing with Sami Zayn. It's that underdog story that people want to see come true one day, and I feel like having it on a Raw, I can agree with a lot of people not wanting to see it, because with Sami, that's such a big moment. You have to have a leadway to it. You can't just be like, okay, Sami wins it here. You have to have more leadway. You have to have like more things thrown at us besides what we saw here tonight and the past couple of weeks, if you get what I'm trying to say. Here we go! So that's why, like, I can understand why people wouldn't want to see Sami win it tonight, because I'm definitely one of those people. Do I want Sami to win the World Championship one day? You bet your fucking ass I do. He's somebody that I could potentially see winning a Money in the Bank down the line, or winning the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, etc., so on, winning some number one contender spot, whatever the case may be. I just would want more build up to it. I would want a more captivating story. Just to look at it with like the whole Cody situation. We had that 2 years of build up. I would want this to just, you just need it like fleshed out a little bit more. If you were going to really pull the trigger with Sami, you would just have to mash a lot of things together if you really wanted to get to that moment. And I don't really think that moment was here tonight, because you could, like with Jey, you could, even though I was one of those people that was predicting that Bron Breakker would go over that night, you could still feel that Jey might actually win. Going into this, I didn't really think Sami was going to come out on top with this, if you get what I'm trying to say. I'm just a guy that I just want like a lot more heart put into this and everything. And when it comes to a guy like Sami, I mean, it just needs to be more. I wouldn't have pulled the trigger tonight.
How about you, Walkers? Would you have pulled the trigger of Sami winning the title if it did happen? How did you feel about this? And do you have your internet working once again?
Oh, yeah.
I hope so, because this is actually legitimately pissing me off. So this is gonna really be fun talking about this stuff for the rest of the night. No, it was not time to pull the trigger on Sami, because it just wasn't the time at all. It wasn't the time, it wasn't the place, and just I think this is gonna lead to like it's definitely gonna lead to a third match with him and Gunther. Oh my gosh, just connect to the internet, but whatever. That's besides the point. Whatever. It just was not the time or the place for Sami to win tonight.
No.
Do you feel like out of this 2-hour segment, one thing I want to give a big shout out to is that this was a picture-to-picture of almost every match. So if I lost 1 hour of story time to the pacing, that's one thing. we could talk about in each certain segment. But if I get a picture for each of the matches, I'm okay with. Even though I feel like the matches are too small, I feel like it was just slightly bigger. I prefer the NXT layout where the match was a bit more bigger or almost the same size as a commercial. I feel like that was more balanced. So that's one thing I appreciate from NXT. Layout was a lot better. So overall, that's the positive side out of these last 30 minutes of the production, because I can't wait for us to talk about the first hour of production, because it was very rocky and awkward.
Yeah.
I mean, just the whole night was just awkward and rocky. Like, because like that's actually a theme I was seeing a lot of like online with people, was that a lot of people were feeling like there were so many commercial breaks, even with the picture-in-picture too. It's like
so many.
that can only get you so far though. Like,
no lie,
yeah, exactly.
Those commercials break was actually taking me out of the fucking match. She was getting me pissed
Yeah.
off. Like, I started to actually not even pay attention, where I have my speaker just telling me the story. Like, I felt like I was listening to a radio show instead of watching a match.
Yeah. But you know what? Have you guys talked enough about the main event with this whole thing with Crown Jewel? Okay.
20 minutes about it. Exactly 20 minutes right now.
Okay, good. All right. Well, we're gonna move on to our other stories from tonight, because we got some other stuff to kind of talk about, maybe bring up and all that. So we're gonna start off with just how our night started off, with CM Punk starting the night by obviously selling the effects of the Hell in the Cell. Seth ends up interrupting near the end, bumps shoulders with CM Punk, and he heads to the ring to basically call out Bronson Reed, be like, hey, I'm gonna here to fight you anytime, anywhere, any place. Like, the thing with this opening segment is, like, this gave me hope for the pacing of the 2 hours. Unfortunately, it gave me some false hope, especially with this first hour. But, like, and even before then, like, even before the night even started, like, Raw started with Sexy Red out there. She said, like, 2 words.
And then it cut to fucking a video package of Bad Blood, which threw me off, because I'm like, okay, cool, this is Sexy Red. And then she disappeared. I'm like,
yeah.
What?
No, not cool, bro.
Yeah,
Look,
it's like, okay.
As a fan, I get it. I get it as a fan. Totally understandable. But cool for the company, merging with the rapping size, music industry, cool in that aspect. Like, cool for Triple H in that side. In the business side. But when it comes to that, like, they cut off so fast, where I bet you the audience actually heard what she said. Like, if she actually had a sentence or some type of promo, if she actually did.
I don't know if she did, because if you think about it that way, they played a video package right afterwards, so it's kind of hard for her to cut a promo while that video package is playing on. It's playing because what we're seeing on television is also what they're seeing at that live show. So, I mean, the main reason for why she was there is not only because she's going to be on NXT tomorrow, which hopefully I can get through that. But
we got this.
It's also because she's from St. Louis. That's why she was doing it. But it's like, I have nothing personal against her. It's just my main issue with this is it just felt out of place. Like, it didn't really need to be there. Like, you could have easily shown the bad plug. You could have had the intro of Raw, show the Bad Blood package of everything that happened over the weekend, and then highlight the CM Punk match, just like on Friday, how they're gonna highlight the tag match with Cody and Roman before they open up the show. And then you could have had CM Punk come out right afterward. It was just a very awkward segment. That was my main issue with it. It just felt very awkward.
The most
that's like me starting off a video saying, "Hey guys, my name is Kid Utaku. Oh hey, I'm just drinking a water bottle, by the way." Like, you gotta have stuff flowing together. Like, you're in production, Vash. You know that when it comes to doing certain things, you got to make sure that it has that proper flow with it, so it meshes well together.
If you want to give the production mindset, this as a production value, this show is trash. And then this is not even me being optimistic. This is like production work. I've worked for many studios: Hulu, Disney, Netflix, Paramount, and a few others.
Domino's.
not Domino's, but I've done a pizza commercial before.
Burger
Either way,
King.
definitely not Burger King. But
One day.
McDonald's commercial I actually have done. However,
Oh yeah, I remember hearing that story.
when it comes
Working
to
for the competition, I see.
sadly I am. When it comes to the layout that you had
Yeah.
Joe and Wade Barrett during the segment of after CM Punk, I believe, and
Yeah.
they was awkwardly trying to get back into conversation when some type of audio or issue happened when
Yeah.
they transitioned back to Cody Rhodes and then they went back to them, and they was
Yeah.
kind of like stuck of what to say, and
Yeah.
I saw Joe being stuck, and that's not good because Michael Cole or Corey Graves would have picked it up better. So showing it so obvious on screen, it doesn't help. Like anybody there in the audience probably wouldn't tell the
Yeah.
difference, but us at home or like someone
Yeah.
like myself or anybody that has watched Raw or SmackDown or any commentators for
Yeah.
years will understand that. So it's very disappointing in the production side and showing the ring very dry with nobody there and doing it in a wide far shot when it wasn't needed. And you have fucking look. Oh, sorry, I'm about to go fucking right. Why do you have fucking Raquel there as a bodyguard, but even fucking say stupid shit? And
I mean, me and Watkins have gone on
yeah,
so many rants in this show. You deserve a rant of your own, so go
no,
right
but
for
then
it.
but then you have the
Yeah.
production where I forgot, not Kathy, Jackie, she literally did her job like two, three times throughout the show, but she actually couldn't get her job done because the superstar was kind of rushed. It felt like a show that I believe I'm gonna take a words from Watkins that if you ever had to submit an assignment at 12 a.m. in the morning and you actually wrote it at 11:50 and then you submitted it at
Oh, this
11:59,
tweet.
like that's how it was.
Yeah.
That you're exactly doing the
Yeah.
last minute homework, and they wrote this, but not even the writing is what bothered me. It's the production. Writing, as long as you have the good camera team and everything, everyone prepared, but it looks like nobody was prepared for a 2-hour show.
No.
Like it felt like
no.
too last minute.
No.
Yeah.
It's like they realized today, oh, we got to do a 2-hour show tonight. All right, so we won't do this, and this, and you guys just go out there for like 2 minutes, and that's
See,
it.
this is
That's your
how
lot.
I
Plus,
would have
also,
structured
I
it.
should add, Drop told us
Mhm.
earlier in our chat that they also tape a Raw for next week because they're going to be traveling
They
to the UK.
did.
So that's
Yeah,
also
they're doing
another
the UK tour.
that's another reason probably why it felt awkward because things that they had to do or change up for the next week episode. So probably that's another
Yeah.
reason why things was awkward.
Yeah, that's
See,
that,
you say
definitely
that.
factors into it, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
like, mhm.
no, it's like at the same time, I kind of would have structured it kind of like how, since we are doing the 2 hours until the end of the year, I kind of would have structured it how Triple H used to do the Black and Gold NXT, where like back then when he was running NXT, it was just 1 hour, and what I would have done is I would have focused on what we needed to get out that week, and then focus on whatever we had to get out next week, because not every talent was featured on NXT. Like Finn Balor and Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano might have been shown on 1 week, and then the next week you see like Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, all these other people, Ember Moon when she was still there. Like you would have saw that stuff because that's just how he structured the show. I would have done that format here, where you
Yeah.
focus on what you needed to do and then do the rest next week instead of just throwing it all in there super fast just because you got to put it all on the show.
Mhm.
I don't know.
And like I think that's kind of how he structures his SmackDowns a little bit.
Yeah,
'Cause,
I
like,
noticed that.
And I had thought about this the other day after we had made a comment about like Giovanni Vinci not being on there, but then I kind of remembered, wait, he was on one like not too long ago. Like I think it was the prior week he was on. So like it is kind of like that, what you were just saying, how he used to book NXT. And I kind of forgot that they were recording another Raw, which now
did.
makes me think, is next week's Raw going to be just like this week's?
Yeah, I didn't even notice anything about the UK tour until I found out online. Or
Yeah.
I found out with
And
whoever
I didn't
was
even know
talking
until
to.
you guys told me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like once I found out, oh shit, now I'm seeing stuff from next week, but it is what it is. I'm gonna see this shit. Doesn't really
Yeah.
fucking matter. But I mean, not of them looking, not of them
But
thinking
yeah.
about. We're probably gonna have the same initial thoughts next week's show because it's probably
Yeah.
gonna feel very similar. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely what it is.
Hmm. But so let's transition back. Let's get back.
Yeah,
Let's walk back a little bit.
yeah,
Because again, CM Punk started the night, and I appreciate how he was selling the effects of Hell in a Cell, and like
yeah.
some of his words being like, "Look, I told you guys I had no Hell in a Cell matches left in me, and I was right. Like I am banged up, I'm bruised, I need time off." And I mean, good on him too for taking time off and all that. And hopefully he gets AJ a lot of flowers, like get her like a field of flowers, because you're gonna need that, buddy, for your supposed 5 weeks away from home and all that. Like you're gonna need to be back in her good graces. But like, I just appreciated the fact that he was selling Hell in a
Yeah.
Cell like that, because that's something I've missed so much in WWE. Like, and my biggest example of this is the Elimination Chamber,
Oh yeah.
where like I remember like the first few Elimination Chamber matches, they were selling that like they were in hell, like almost worse than Hell in a Cell at some points,
I
and some of them did get like some legit injuries from that match.
I will say this though, there was actually a
Mm,
part of me that was like a little scared something happened with Punk just because of how he was
yeah,
selling it. Like I probably would have found out something online saying, "Oh, he's coming out to address something, whatever." But it just the way he was selling it kind of convinced me, like, "Oh shit, I hope nothing bad happened," because we've
yeah.
known
Part.
based on what we've seen in the
Mm,
past, kind of gave me a little
oh
scares.
well,
But I'm happy he's fine.
especially with his arm wrapped up like it was,
Yeah.
like yeah, yeah. That sends signals in my brain. Oh man, but yeah, again, selling everything. So I'm just happy that that aspect's back, and it's like kind of like the title that you see on this thumbnail. It's just like, okay, well, what's next for CM Punk? Where does he go from here? And like there were
Ooh.
reports saying, oh well, he's gonna go for Gunther and like all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But like we're gonna have to wait for after Crown Jewel with that. But like
Mm-hmm.
way into the future, we do have this Seth Rollins feud, which, oh boy, speaking of the devil, and he shall appear, Seth Rollins comes out at the end of this promo, and it's just good to start a show with Seth Rollins again, with our Monday
Mm-hmm.
Night Messiah.
Amen.
Yeah, I'm happy to see him
Hmm.
again, and I like how they're taking their time with this feud because that's one of the
Yeah.
things that I really do appreciate that WWE does. Kind of like how they should have done with Cody and Gunther, but that we already talked about that. I'm not going to get into that again. But when it comes
Hmm.
to Seth and CM Punk, there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of personal shit that you can dive into over the years. I mean, you could even use old clips of when him and CM Punk were in NXT when they had a team up together. Can't remember what match it was where they did team up together, but you can just use a lot of the history that they had over the years, the interviews of them throwing shots at one another, saying all
Hmm.
this different kinds of shit, because this is the kind of feud that would blend very well between kayfabe and like basically it's like basically the best way to describe it, it's like it's basically the kind of feud where it's just wrestling, but at the same time it feels so real you actually think it's legit.
Hmm.
That's the kind of heat that both of these guys have. So I like how they're taking their time with it. I like how they're going back to that original plan that they were supposed to have this year, because the original plan was supposed to be Seth Rollins with the World Heavyweight Championship against CM Punk. I believe in
Yeah.
reports came out that CM Punk was supposed to win Elimination Chamber this year before they had to pivot because of what happened with him. So I like how we know that's going to be we're going to dive into that once November comes, because it's normally when they start building into WrestleMania season again. So I like how we know that's the game plan. That's WrestleMania, perfect way to do it. That's the one show I will say I do not want to see on any other PLE but WrestleMania. That is a
Hmm.
WrestleMania feud, and holy shit, we're going to be on one hell of a ride once we dive into that a little bit deeper. But I
Yeah.
love seeing Seth Rollins back because you can feel when he's not there. Literally, you can feel when this man is not on the show. So I'm glad that he's back. I'm glad that he confronted Bronson Reed. And that's pretty much your Saudi match, guys. I mean, you're going to
Yeah.
get Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed at Saudi. And I'm just really happy to see that. I'm really excited to see that match because Bronson Reed has been on a roll lately. He's been his basically his presentation has been great, and Seth Rollins, just like how Seth Rollins normally does. I mean, look at the kind of match he brought Omos to. He brought Omos to his best match.
Yeah.
So it's like I expect this to be one hell of a fucking match between both of these guys. And one of the things I do want to point out is that not only his tone was very serious, but he came out in his Shield gear too.
Yes.
Yeah, I
appreciate you
noticed
bringing
that.
up.
Like
Thank you for
his
showing that Shield inspiration, because that was amazing to see, and him even bringing that up in the middle of the ring, saying that, hey, even Cody was on the side of Roman, questionable, him getting beat up by KO, but then him saying, can't talk about it, told him, I gotta
Yeah.
move on. So it's really interesting how they're having Seth, they're having Sami, Cody, and Joe kind of not really talk about what's happening with the KO and Cody situation, the end of Bad Blood. So that's pretty interesting in the aspect. How do you guys feel about that as well?
Mhm.
kind of the same thing. I mean, we'll have more to say on Friday, I think.
True.
Oh yeah.
Once the week continues on and more things come out and all that stuff, and like more discussion can be had about the segment and all that. Yeah, I mean I think that's pretty much standard with that part, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, Vash, Seth was basically running down all the bad blood and all that. But yeah, the main focus here is Bronson Reed. I'm hoping they have a good series, which I mean they should. Bronson Reed's really good. Seth's really good.
Yeah, look great wrestler.
Part of me wants Bronson Reed to go over.
No, I
Same.
do too. That
Same. Okay, I'm glad we're all three on
Yeah.
the same page.
No,
Chat also, please
because
let us know.
yeah, because Seth's at the point where if he loses a match, he's fine. If Cody loses a match, he's
Yeah.
fine. So it's like where Seth is at this point, and just based on how Bronson Reed is being built up, it's only going to do wonders for Bronson Reed,
Mhm.
because Seth Rollins, it's not going to do him any wrong. So
No.
it's like I would definitely push Bronson Reed. If they want to do another match, then hey, you could have Seth Rollins go over in that one if you wanted to. But at the same time, it's like I definitely expect Bronson Reed to go over in this match. I feel like it's only right to reward him for all the hard work that he's doing to put him over.
Oh yeah.
Nothing against Seth, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he'd be okay with it. I mean, he has Punk he's dealing with. You're gonna make a lot of moolah out of that, but
Yeah,
don't worry about
exactly.
anything.
Also, for those
And
that
he
don't
could
remember as
easily
well,
build himself up with that.
back in March, or I think in the Mission Chamber, the original match that was supposed to be was Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed, but I believe
For
Seth
the
Rollins
World
was
Heavyweight Championship too.
right for the World Heavyweight
Yep.
title. So at the time, Seth was injured by a knee, and Bronson, his wife was giving birth. So they both had no reason to miss the match. So I'm glad months later, Triple H went back to this type of storyline, but now to help Bronson Reed go over enough by the fans and get a name for themselves. And I love that Seth kind of broke fourth wall in a way, like saying all these type of things the fans knew, and also what the audience were been saying that hey, Bronson Reed, like I get it, you want to make a name for yourself, so you have to beat me with 6 tsunamis, you gotta take me out. Well, guess what, I'm back. So I really love that aspect that he kind of spoke to the fans, and also using the camera as well for that aspect, like he did something that he used to do with Shield, like speak to the camera straightforward. So that was really awesome. And also, if anybody noticed that CM Punk, I believe, did that like 2-3 weeks ago, where he also spoke to the camera. So I love how when Seth came back, he spoke to the camera as well. So it shows that the little similarities.
That's just a good trope in wrestling, where it's like, okay, when you want to get super serious, when you want to like get super personal, but the person's not there. All right, well, I know you're watching TV. I know you're watching the show. I'm just gonna talk right directly to you, like, hey, fuck you.
And Bronson Reed did say, "Expect me, Seth, like you expect Jesus to come back. Expect me, Seth, I'm coming."
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yep. So a lot of setup here, a lot of seeds being planted for things coming down the road. I'm sure we'll be able to kind of sink our teeth more into, especially Seth and Bronson Reed, later on when Bronson Reed's able to come back and retaliate. But we're gonna continue onward as Braun Breaker decided to wreck some house after a pretty mid Intercontinental title match. Yeah, Xavier Woods and Jey Uso. I thought this was going to be a better match than it was,
Yeah.
and it did not live up to any expectations or hype with it. The one positive I do have with this match is I do appreciate Xavier Woods getting like his evolution of his change to being a heel, like his heel turn and all that. And the way he's been, changing his offense and changing like his overall demeanor in the ring has been really good, And tonight, I really took note of that tonight as well. But I mean, this match had really nothing else to it other than here's a super kick, splash. Yeah, that's it.
I was a bit disappointed. I'm a fan of Jey Uso. I'm a fan of Xavier. For those that don't know, they're really great friends. There was one clip when they did the Japan tour. A random fan was saying "yeet" to Jay while Xavier and him were together. So that was one member that I always laugh about on the top of my head when I see these two together. Adding that backstory, when it comes to this match, it is disappointing because Xavier has had some Japan matches, and those have been phenomenal. So I was expected to see a singles match from Xavier that's like that. Like a phenomenal match from Xavier that could do a one-on-one and entertain us. And this felt more like not a match, it felt more like a story match where you have to push the agenda of what's going on with the character, and the match is the back burner. Like example of what happened with Bad Blood with Rhea and Liv. So with this, it felt like they had to slowly continue the heel turn for Xavier, showing the heel attitude here and there, but the match felt like second fiddle, and that's something that was very disappointing.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what it was. Like, I don't really have to say anything beyond that point. That's basically what it was. It's just pushing the story. The match didn't really mean anything. I mean, if you walked away and you came back, you really wouldn't have missed anything within the match itself. Match didn't really do anything. I mean, it was almost one of those things where it's like as soon as I blinked my eyes, the match was over. Like, I was actually a little confused because I didn't even see how the match ended. Like, obviously I saw it from the replays, but when I heard the bell go off, I'm like, okay, that's it. But yeah, it was just to build the story. So I can't really say anything about the match because it's like, I mean, can you really call it a match to begin with? I mean, it was almost it's almost like a YouTube short. That's what it was.
Yeah, basically. I mean, this was a speed match. That's what it was. This was a speed match that you could, that you could have watched on Twitter and all that. But like, and that's the thing. It's just like it did even in the storytelling aspect of everything. It did very little to even push any of that beyond. Like the most you got was this online exclusive later on with again Kofi and Xavier kind of going back and forth, being like, hey, I was supposed to be the quarterback, things aren't really working out, blah blah blah. Like
I don't know. The
like,
only thing I did see that was like it felt too story wise. For another example towards my point is, so when Braun Breaker came out of nowhere, speared Jey Uso, so he did his thing, and then Kofi was telling, hey, yo, we gotta go help Xavier. I like it, like, yo, that's none of our business. My match was done, and I understand where Xavier's coming from, because Kofi gave a dab to Jay. I'm like, yo, look. If I had to, for example, if I had to fight Drop in a match, one-on-one, for the IC title, but we're best friends outside of the ring and on the ring on camera, we're cool on the camera, but then the match happens, I lost. I'm right at the moment, even though Drop and me are friends right now, I kind of don't like him because I just lost my opportunity for a match. But then I've walked and still give him a dab like they're all best pals. That shit will irk me. I'm like, bro, you're just literally adding fuel to the fire. You're like you're adding salt to the wound. Like, you literally just saw me lose my chance. I felt like I did a good performance, or maybe I was rocking. Kofi just saying like, yo, he's still my bud. You did a good match. So I understand where Xavier's come from. Like, I understand what you did, Kofi. So I understand why Xavier chose not to help. It's not because he didn't want to help Jay. It's just that, right now, let Jay deal with that shit. Right now, I just took my L. I gotta do me. So I understood where it's coming from.
Mhm. Well, I mean, it's more circumstantial too, because it's like, you could lose to somebody and be upset, but still show sportsmanship. But like with Xavier, it's just like it's constant failure after failure after failure after failure after failure after failure after failure, and that wears on you a lot. Like
It's repetitive.
failing so much just constantly like that. Like at that point, yeah, you don't want to dap somebody up, even though you had
No.
a match and you lost, like, yeah, I don't want to say, oh, good job, good match, even if we are friends at that point. Like, no, I can't like get out of this rut and all that. But yeah, I mean, again, Braun Breaker just comes out, just spears everybody because, hey, I'm a spear junkie. What do we feel about this? Because like last week, it almost seemed like Braun was doing a face turn,
I think it
but now he's
felt.
like more an intense, and like he even backstage when Jackie tried to get an answer from him, he didn't give us an answer. So it's just like, it's just as Braun being Braun, or like
Yeah, I think
what's
that's
going
what it
on
is.
here?
I think that's the
Yeah.
best way to explain it. It's just Braun Breaker being Braun Breaker. Just like how Roman Reigns is still Roman Reigns, even though he's a face now, he's still acting like how Roman Reigns always been. So it's
Mm,
just the part of Braun Breaker where it's like he does what he wants whenever he wants to. So if he wants to be like, you know what, we had a good match or whatever, because we even saw that with Gunther and Randy, because we know that Gunther is a heel,
yeah.
but even after Gunther and Randy had their match, they both shook each other's hands as a sign of respect. So that's pretty much what it was between him and Jay, but it's still the same Braun Breaker that we've been seeing. I don't think it's a face. I don't think it's a heel. I
Mm,
don't think it's a tweener. I just think it's just Braun Breaker doing whatever the hell he wants, which all to him, because that's honestly the best way to utilize his character, is just let him do whatever
oh
the
yeah.
hell he wants.
Yeah. Plus, also, with last week, it's just like, what? I'm gonna let you have your moment. You have your
Hmm.
moment. I had my moment. So yeah, that's only fair. However, now it's a new week. Now it's a new everything. Fuck you again. you know. So I guess we're leaning towards Jay and Braun again, which I mean I'm fine with. Hopefully they have a little bit of a better match than last time. Not saying their match was horrible, but like maybe a little bit more this time around.
Mm.
Do you guys
Mm.
think Braun
All
Breaker
right.
will actually take the IC title from Jay? Because that's something that a lot of people are now speculating that in Crown Jewel, that match could happen as well
Probably.
there.
Mm.
Which I hope Jay keeps it. I hope Jay retains the belt onto December, or maybe until Saturday Night Live, or no, I think it's considered main event.
We gotta
It's
close. We gotta
Saturday
close.
Night Live.
See this right here. See this right here definitely needs to go on the TikTok page.
I
Oh
should
yeah.
roll, yeah. Jay Uso,
but
I would definitely love it for it. If he retains until
but
December, like just stay with that for a while.
yeah. But I mean, I mean, it's kind of like 50-50, where he could
Mm.
continue on with the title, but at the same time, I could easily see them putting it back on Braun Breaker, only because,
Yeah.
as much as I hate to say this, I feel like it was just a moment that they wanted to create. So now that they did that moment, they're gonna get back to what they were originally doing. And they wanted to strike when the iron was hot instead of just continuing on with it. Because imagine if they didn't hit it when they had the chance, and then they just threw Jay into something else, then people would be super invested in that. They wouldn't even pay attention to the whole single
Yeah.
title story. So I'm personally can honestly see him getting it back.
Yeah, and I mean same here. Like I could see it too. Plus, like if we're gonna eventually have Jay go to the Bloodline for that whole War Games
War
thing, it'd be
games.
best. It'd be best not to have a title on him. I think.
Yeah,
And
only
hopefully
because the
that
story's
leads
bigger than the titles, really.
exactly. Yeah, as we learn with just the presentation between Roman and Cody this past weekend, but
Yeah.
that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. And yeah, I mean, I've pretty much spent the time I've wanted to talking about
Oh,
this
me
part.
too.
So,
Oh,
um, we're
next
gonna
part.
spend just, I
Oh,
guess, just a
I'll
moment
say
really quick.
I'll say the one thing I was gonna say real quick. Xavier Woods getting spear bothered me because it felt too planned. when Xavier Woods was literally way down talking to Kofi, but then when Bron Breakker was coming around, when he got closer is when Kofi Xavier Woods got to the spot. I get it, it's a spot moment where Bron Breakker has to look like the best, the beast, the wolf, to look like he took out everyone, but it kind of like when it's too obvious, it kind of throws you off for me. Like it's I forgot the word is the phrase. Is it disbelief? I believe it's called.
Oh, you're talking about suspension of disbelief?
Yes, correct, that one.
Okay. All right. I get that. All right. But we're gonna move on from all that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Match. Mid-match. Fine. Whatever. Cool. Neat. Wants a match against R-Truth next week. Really big Karrion Kross talking to Miz in the back, trying to take credit, I guess, for turning Miz. No, I did this. I did, and yeah, this eventually, and they're, I guess, gonna have a match next week. I think this is gonna be the blow off for all this. Like, are we just gonna be done with Miz and R-Truth after this, or just gonna be the beginning?
Yeah, I really hope so, because this isn't doing anything for me personally. Like, the only thing I really wanted out of this was Miz turning heel, because that's just the best way to utilize Miz. Miz just has that natural heel feel to him. So, other than that, I mean, okay, you're gonna have the match next week. Miz more than likely is gonna win, and I mean, what does it really do? I mean, it's just like. So here's the thing with R-Truth, and I hate to say this because I love Truth, but sometimes when it comes to the comedy aspect of his character, it works when it's done right, and then sometimes it feels stale, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah. Well, it's to me how I see it is like it's that whole because it's like, okay, R-Truth doing his little shit, that was great. That was great for like the 24/7 title, because it was fun. It didn't stick around, and it was what it was. But like, ever since him and Miz got back for the whole Awesome Truth stuff, yeah, it's been really hit or miss for me. And like, at least when they had the times, they a little bit more on TV. I will say that down is the fact that we were getting a lot of those hit and in segments with the Miz, and I'm saying, and
I believe we lost Watkins.
or something. I fucking hate this goddamn.
Well, I apologize for the technical difficulty, everyone.
yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, I mean, it happens. So, yeah, sorry about that, guys. I mean,
but in the meantime,
you have.
The show.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on this actually? Because I didn't hear you say anything about this.
Look, the Miz, R-Truth. Their storyline continues to go on, and it's not the best. It's not gonna continue as the best because right now a lot of people are not loving it. They're trying to see. The one thing I do like about this is Karrion Kross, because I'm a fan of Karrion Kross. Many people might not be a fan of Karrion Kross. Isn't that okay? Not everyone has to be, and if you are wrong, for Karrion Kross, that's okay. You are wrong. But for me, I like this because you know why? The white six symbol, their montage, their B-roll, show on the screen and showing your necks. It kind of is hard to imply if it's Karrion Kross or the Miz. A lot of people think it's the Miz. I hope Karrion Kross gets involved with this stuff of the white six because I feel like Karrion Kross is the flip side of what the white six embodies. Even though Karrion Kross has failed to go over the audience, but maybe if they intercross with each other, maybe they might help each other, or Karrion Kross could see and we also have AOP, the Final Testament. So this might be a group against group. If they get involved, that would be pretty interesting to see. On my end, I don't know how others feel. They might be saying, "Oh, that's a trash idea, Vash." No, don't book it.
No, I mean, it'll give something for Karrion to do, and hopefully something for him to actually sink his teeth into and actually be able to like burst out of his bubble or cage or whatever that he just has been in since being on the main roster. So yeah, I mean, it would be cool. It would be something probably a little more decent and a little more better than what he was already doing. So
Yeah, we
I
just
don't know.
we just gotta see how the execution is. That's all that matters.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Drop, did you have anything to mention about this little segment we had?
Nah,
All right, perfect.
Let's move on to the
Because
best match of the night.
Sheamus defeated Pete Dunne in his ultimate fantasy of being tied up in an old-fashioned Donnybrook match. This match was really good. It was a banger. Like, Sheamus does not lie when he says he puts on banger after banger after banger, because him and Pete put on a really good match tonight. Like, and again, it kind of started off a little awkward, a little bit, like a little slow and all that, but like it did really kick into a fun gear by the end of it. And I don't know, man. It was just really fun. That's all. Like out of a show that had like a lot of crap to it, this was by far the biggest highlight of the night.
I would say the same thing. One of the coolest one of the coolest spots was when you had the white noise going on top of the two tables. When he jumped off from the barrel and going on top of two tables. That to me is something that was really cool to see. The white noise. It reminded me of something similar that Drew McIntyre pulled off with CM Punk on the steel steps. This was on the two tables from our boy Sheamus, so that was really amazing to see from Sheamus. That's one of my favorite spot. One of the other cool spots I'll give a big shout out to was a zip tie. Him doing the bro kick, still being zip tied to Pete Dunne.
Oh yeah, that was a cool spot and a cool moment and all that. I really liked when it was again when they were on the barrels, but like because like a few times in the match, Sheamus kept trying to do that 10 beats of the powder and all that, but he couldn't do it because Pete was just he's too smart for Sheamus at that moment. He knew where he was in the ring, what he could do in the spots that he was in the ring. So it really worked out well for Pete Dunne until they got to the top of the barrels. And like Sheamus just puts his arms between the shillelagh and it's just like, oh, what can I do? Like, because you kind of do have to finagle yourself out of that. And it's just like, oh, well, this is my ropes. Bam, bam. So like that was really cool. I thought like that was very innovative on Sheamus's part. And did you guys see the picture of Sheamus's back after this match?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
that shit
I
was
did see that.
brutal. Mad fucking red and slashes.
It shows he goes to war all the time.
Oh yeah, and
But,
even his arm,
Oh yeah, his whole body was messed up. But I really liked this. I mean, like you guys said, this was probably my match of the night. I mean, I think that's a given. You throw Sheamus in there with any name, he's gonna give you probably the highlight of the night, because Sheamus always likes to make sure that he entertains the audience. And I absolutely love this match. My favorite spot would probably have to be the white noise on the table, because I always love the setup of that, and I always love the execution. So that was my highlight. I do like how what was said in the notes that like you mentioned, Pete Dunne was being smart, which makes sense why he's smart, because he has a lot of history with Sheamus. So it only makes sense for him to read his movements, since they've been in tag matches with each other when it came to whoever they were going up against. So it only makes sense for him to know, like, okay, I know what to expect out of this guy since I've been with him for so long. So it's nice to see that, the person that you're going up against in the match itself can actually outsmart you at times or read your movements before they, land a row kick or wrap or put you in a grapple hold, or you get what I mean. Like it's just nice to see like how familiar they are with one another, which is definitely something that I really liked with this match itself. And my biggest question is, because we've seen these guys go at it for quite a bit now, my biggest question is like what's next, and not no Goldberg next, like what's next when it comes to Sheamus and Pete Dunne, when it comes to both of their characters, because obviously I'm pushing an agenda for Sheamus a little bit later when it comes to WrestleMania, so I'm not going to touch into that now because it's too early to talk about that, but I'm really wondering exactly like what are we going to be doing with Sheamus next? What are you going to be doing with Pete Dunne again? Because you can only have so many matches with these guys, and to me, I feel like this probably is the last match that they have with one another, just given the sort of stipulation that they had. It sort of felt like that.
Well, especially the way it ended too, because it's like Sheamus basically just beat Pete Dunne with his hands behind his back.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to come back from that, really.
Where do you go from there unless Pete just wants to keep being a nasty little bastard and all that,
or
like they keep telling him, or a butch,
Or like
so I mean it's kind of hard too to think of where does Pete Dunne go from here, because like he's been on a really big losing streak. Like
that's another thing
like
too.
It's one
that's why I question that
exactly, because
in
it's
the
like
chat, like should have had Pete Dunne won this, I feel like I believe John mentioned earlier that if Cody loses, I mean not Cody, if Seth Rollins loses, or like other big superstars, Roman or anything, it won't hurt them, they're so over. I feel like Sheamus is the same thing. So for him to not have Pete Dunne win, to push him over when he's been so good right now over the past couple months, and Pete Dunne has been on a losing streak, not just on Raw, also NXT as well, with Trick Williams and everything as well, with what's going on there over the past couple weeks. So it kind of makes you question, like, when is he supposed to get his moment?
That's the thing, because it's like when it comes, like you said, when it comes to Sheamus, I guess I can agree with that. It's like, with Sheamus, it's like at whatever he gets himself into, I mean, there you go, there's a leadway there. But Pete Dunne was trying to establish himself to push beyond this, and hypothetically you could have had this lead to like some sort of IC title match if he's like, oh, I got a big win over Sheamus, I finally buried the hatchet, now I can move on to greater things, go after the IC title, and stuff like that. Like that's another thing of Pete Dunne. Like I personally, I mean, the match was so great regardless, but I personally would have put Pete Dunne over just because I feel like it would have benefited him in the long run when it comes to fully establishing his character, because I know what this dude's capable of. So it's like I expect, I mean, I personally want to see him do a lot of things. I mean, even with Ilya Dragunov was there, which I know they were trying to take his time to do things with him, but even with like those kind of guys that like are just love beating the shit out of anybody that they're in the ring with, I personally would have put Pete Dunne over this, because I just want his like his star power to rise, where people would get like super invested in his character and actually want to see him in a lot of these chaotic moments. It's almost like whenever we see Sheamus, we're super hyped because we know a Sheamus match is going to be a good match. That's kind of like the similar thing I wanted to see with Pete Dunne, where it's like, oh, whenever we see Pete Dunne's going to be a match, we know it's going to be good because Pete Dunne loves beating the shit out of people, just like Sheamus does, just like Gunther does, and just like Ilya Dragunov, because those group of guys that I mentioned, they love tearing people limb to limb, almost like a lion. They just love ripping people apart.
Yeah. And I mean, at least Pete Dunne was able to rip, I mean, literally and figuratively rip Sheamus apart a bit tonight,
Oh yeah.
And I mean, he had a sound strategy with like the zip ties, It just didn't work out. So sorry, buddy. That's what happens when you put All Might in cuffs. Like, yeah, you may have done that, you may have weakened him, but he's still freaking All Might, you know. Oh my gosh, I just compared Sheamus to All Might. Anyways, that's neither here nor there with that. So okay, yeah. I mean, again, I think the main question here is where does Pete Dunne go from here? I think, Drop, you were alluding to, Sheamus's end route being around Mania with an IC title, but we can dive more into that as we continue on through our roads to 2025 and all that. But yeah, so after that match is done, all this other bullshit happens. We end up getting a 10-woman tag team match between Lyra, Zelina, and they were joined by the Boring Girls and Natty, and they decided to take Pretty Freaking Cringe and the Unholy Union to a trip to the toilet so they could flush them down it and hopefully be done with them, because I'm done with them. I am tired of Pure Fusion Collective. I am tired of, look, I work with children. I work with children and I'm old and I'm tired and fuck. Give me my Debbie's bakeries and all that, and I'll go on a old person rant about it. I was not feeling this at all, and I'm hoping all these women are done with each other. I want Lyra to do something different. I want Zelina to do something different. I want Shayna to get away from Sonya, and I want Zoe to actually be able to find somewhere where she can actually thrive rather than do whatever the hell she's doing now. Like, yeah, I'm done with it. I'm over with it. I'm
want to say big shout out to Zelina with her new gear. Her new gear outfit was Slay Queen Slay. I just want to give that props. Other than that, I agree 100% with what Walken said. This match was. I love when the girls came out. Y'all gave some great entrances. Yeah, did a good time. I'm talking about the baby faces. Natalia, you're you. Lyra, Valkyria, you're amazing. One thing that sucks that we didn't get to see, that was only, it seems like all the cool stuff we're getting is only online only, because we saw what's the girl from NXT that she's obsessed with? Paxton, I believe.
Oh, Tatum Paxley.
Yeah, Tatum Paxley. Appreciate, thank you. She appeared in the locker room inside one of the drawers under, in a creepy way, and it was hilarious for a scene that backstage on live TV would have been funny, but they left it for an online scene, which I'm like, this would have added more to the segment or something.
I think that might have been.
No, it wasn't. From what I saw, it was online only, because I remember watching.
Was it a part of this show, or was it next week?
No, it was for this one of Larry Kerr.
Oh, I mean, yeah, okay.
So for the stuff, it's just like it happens. The match happens. I agree for PFC, Pure Fusion Collection. You lost. You're not dominant. You don't control the roster. You keep losing.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
your words have no value.
Talk a bunch of shit. Yeah, you talk a bunch of shit and you can barely back it up.
Yeah, here's the thing, and I'm gonna Triple H. We don't need to do this anymore. Like, it's overdone. You're not. Like, my biggest issue with this is I understand why Pure Fusion Collective is a thing, because they want to push this whole faction to be dominant, and it's kind of hard to take a faction seriously when it comes to them being dominant, when they say things and then they constantly lose match after match. Like, even that match that Zoe won last week with Lyra, it's completely pointless because they end up losing the following week. And this just goes to show, to be completely honest, that they have no plan for Lyra, Zelina, Natty, KC2, Pure Fusion Collective, and the Unholy Union. I mean, just to be completely honest, just to throw them all together, it just shows they have no plan. It's just rehashed matches all the time, constant shit talking. Like, I don't want to see it anymore. I mean, what Vash brought up with Lyra and Tatum, that's honestly the best thing that you could really do with Lyra at this point. Like, I know Tatum's probably going to be in NXT for a little bit, but just speaking at it for the time being, if you had like a Lyra and Tatum Lyra and Tatum on Raw, that would get over because that was very over at NXT. Even when they've reunited for that short time, a lot of people were
I hate
super
technology
excited
tonight.
and they
I'm
loved
about
it.
to throw something. I'm about to throw a baby down a well. That's how I feel tonight.
Oh yeah.
With the technology, with this shit ass Raw, like this was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, at least one benefit here is at least Lyra was the one to get the win, you know,
Yeah.
which I mean, I feel like she's the only one that this is all really benefiting, and that's barely, and that's only because she's getting some wins from this. Like she's getting some wins under her belt, and that's at least something. But that something is very, very, very small compared to who she's even beating and just the talent involved. So I'm hoping we're done from this.
I hope so. Like I hope we get some good.
But I say that every week. I say that every week. Like
I don't know, man. I mean, it's almost coming to the point when we talk about the shows and we talk about each segment and match that happens throughout the week. It's coming to the point where it's like we have it on our notes. We could just erase it and not talk about it because we're pretty much are saying the same thing. If you like, so it's kind of like even pointless to talk about because we could go to last Monday, the Monday before that, the Monday before that one, and just take that footage and put it right on this podcast, and it's basically us saying the same thing. It's not doing anything. It just you're wasting Lyra.
Which I could technically do that from OBS. I could already play last week footage right here.
Yeah, like they might be having fun with it, and all to them, but at the same time, it's like. It's from a fan. I want to see more. I know the potential that these girls have, and like I mentioned earlier, if we weren't doing this championship thing, you could have had a little tournament and had a final two go on to Crown Jewel and actually compete for something that could benefit them. But you know, we're not in a place to really do anything like that. So
they also could have done. It's mid-card title.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's besides the point. You know.
But I got blue balled on Saturday. I thought that's what it was.
Oh, all three of us did. All three of us literally. All three of us could literally get a tattoo of literally saying Triple H blue balls us on Bad Blood.
Yeah.
Everyone in their moms could have gotten that.
If you want to hear our conversation about that, go ahead and check out our Bad Blood coverage. When we talk about the freaking title, we're moving on because this segment is also going to be very short, but it's also going to contain a rant with it.
And so hey,
did you want your weekly dose of Judgment Day shenanigans? Well, too bad. You get none of that. You lose. Game over. It's done. No, okay.
Look, before Walker's gonna rant, I want to say the funniest thing. Right after the Rhea package, and then Liv and Donnybrook, they didn't come to work, or Damien, or Finn. Nobody came from work. No tag titles, no nothing. The most funniest shit is that I thought about it. Wait a minute, nobody went to work today from the Judgment Day or the Terror Twins. When Watkins have been asking for the same shenanigans to have it week to week, I remember him saying one time he'd rather not get out, and this time Triple H answered your question. How about you guys don't get out? And we didn't.
And you know what? Fine on that aspect of it. Fine on that aspect. And especially if they're like pre-taping Raw next week, that kind of makes me think, okay, maybe we're doing a little more next week for it and all that. But that's not the rant. No. And I'm glad, Vash, I'm glad you already got the Liv Dom Raquel part out of the way, because that was basically that segment. Like that had nothing to do with it. Like
Dom literally said, "Yo, babe, I don't want to show up to work today. Let's just leave." Liv was like, "Okay, yeah, sure."
Which I don't blame him.
I'm the world title winner.
I wish I could do that.
Of the woman division. I should not also show up to work. I should also just be with my boyfriend. That's what all I'm here for. And Raquel didn't say a single fucking word. She just looks at the camera and like, "Yeah,
I mean, that's
I'm
fine.
Here." No, that bothered me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Actually, I'm being honest, it actually didn't bother me because it actually, I actually prefer that than what we normally get.
Yeah. Like
True.
that's at least something.
Yeah.
Show her
That's
back
something
or
different.
nothing.
That's something,
No, because
and plus it makes, yeah, it fits the whole idea that Raquel's doing right now. It's just like,
Yep.
I am the muscle now.
Yeah.
I don't have to answer to you.
Yep.
Like, why? Why should I? I don't have
Yeah,
to. And like
exactly.
with Dom and Liv, it's just like, yeah, we don't have to be here. We're awesome. We're great. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
again, this part isn't the part that pissed me the frig off. No,
What?
it's this whole dumbass Rhea Ripley package. This made Rhea look even worse than she did on Saturday. Because no, her reasoning, her being like, "Oh, Liv, you needed Raquel to beat you." Okay, hold on. Now I'm saying this out loud. This makes me think that they recorded this before Saturday. Because if you looked at like some of the reports coming out, it was supposed to be like, oh, Raquel attacked Rhea while the referee was distracted, and like that's why she put Liv on top of Rhea to get her to get the pin. So Liv was technically supposed to pin Rhea on Saturday. So now this package makes even more sense. But then now I'm even thinking, why didn't you guys just can it and not do it then? And just do something else on the fly? Because now you're having Rhea come out and be like, oh, you needed help to beat me and all that stuff. It's just like, well, hold on. Pause. First of all, she didn't need help to beat you because technically she did not beat you. You won by DQ. So there's that part right there. But then the other part too, the other part that just pisses me the frick off. She's like, I will get back my title. Bitch, bitch, bitch. You had your title won. Liv was literally a Yamcha in the middle of that ring, and you looked the ref square in the eye with his little dumbass ref cam and was just like, hold off on all this. Let me go take care of Dom while he's a pinata. And it's like, why? Like, I know we bitched about it on Saturday. I know that. But it's coming up again. It's like, what the hell are we doing? What are you saying? What do you even think? What is your mindset with all this? It's so freaking stupid. It's like, if you cared so much about the title, then why didn't you freaking win it in the first place when you had your stupid chance? Like, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, it was really quick to even beat up on Dom. It wasn't. She took her, guys. She took with it. She took minutes to beat up Dom.
Marcus, I will
Literally
love
like
your rant.
a middle back tonight.
Your rant is getting cut off by the internet.
And not recorded. I'm gonna time it. Hey, I want to beat up Dom. And it's just like, okay, go do it. Between that and the bell ring.
I feel bad for Watkins. He's having a hard run out with his internet.
I know.
Up his flow. He's running in rant mode, and this just had to happen. Like, god damn it.
And that's the worst time too when that stuff happened.
But to continue adding to wait, he's coming back. I heard him. No. Why he continued to come back? I understand.
My mouse now.
Oh, you're back.
Oh my god.
You're back.
I am. That's how I feel. That's how I feel right now. Okay, moving on. Go. Somebody else talk. I am
hey,
livid tonight. This is.
I'm gonna tell you the positive. JJ Styles in the
What
chat.
positive? What positive is there? Like,
Our
go
fan,
ahead. Tell
our
me.
fan.
What positive was there?
Our fan is saying that, hey, he loves your rant, and this is gold. That's what he wanted to say.
Thank you, JJ. Because god damn.
I don't have a rant like Walkers. I don't have this hatred right now, but I understand where he's coming from, and I do have to agree, because if you think the production side and the wording, they probably did film this on a Saturday, or they probably filmed this early, and it's instead of canning it, they just still posted it. Even story-wise, it's still added value. Like Watkins said, that's why probably Raquel still put Liv over Rhea, even though the referee was not there to do it.
Yeah.
It showed the symbolic side, even though it's like, what the fuck is going on here? It doesn't make sense what she's doing when the match is not even counting. But for the symbolic aspect, makes sense why she still did it. But Rhea, I agree with what Walker said 100%. You had great example because the Sparking Zero came out this weekend or this week for the early access.
Go play it.
Liv was technically fucking Yamcha for anybody that understand the reference. You definitely had Yamcha right there flat, and Liv was just there. Well, they're gonna probably post Rhea talking to the ref, like they literally show the ref cam or Rhea asking him like, "Yo, I'm gonna hit Dom because it's like a birthday gift to me or some shit," and literally she was happy and telling her so happy birthday and it's and trying to hit him like a piñata. For her to do that, it felt like it lost the spike, the traction of what was going on. So I was very disappointed in that aspect. And Raquel just really botched her entrance. A lot of people are saying she has to learn from the OG of Tamatanga, and that makes me laugh when he also botched his entrance, and I feel like that's the comedy of it.
Sydney doesn't like when I get angry.
I mean,
As you can see, she's trying to comfort me. She's trying to give me a hug and be like, "Daddy, it's okay. It's okay. They just fucked up 1 week." So it's like, yeah, they did, but damn it.
I mean, if you want me to push it even further, it was probably the worst match on Saturday.
Oh yes, for sure.
Oh, it was.
Oh, it was. I believe we did say that it was the worst match out of the top 5.
Yeah, because it's like, but like my main issue with this entire thing is like just coming out of that match, like the whole execution of it's like the bell rings, you throw her in there even after the bell rings, you take her off, you grab the title. It's just a lot of loopholes within the match itself. It's almost like you're reading a manga, you're getting the close, you're on the final arc, whole bunch of fucking loopholes are hitting you at that point. Hey, I thought this was foreshadowed. Why is this shit coming up? Like that's basically what this whole entire storyline is with them. And my thing is, like, I like that they're actually putting effort in Rhea and Liv's feud. It just seems like they're at that roadblock right now where they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So it's kind of hard to get super invested in what's going on, because if you looked at how I was talking about this like a good month or two, I was super invested in this shit. And there's a part of me that still is. But at the same time, I come on here and tonight, and even just the lead up to this match itself and just the whole feud itself, I mean, it's cold. It's not as hot as it was. We're at that cooling period, and I already know what else we're going to be getting out of this. You're going to be getting Rhea and Raquel at Crown Jewel, and then Team Rhea versus Team Liv, and then maybe it ends at Saturday Night Main Event. Who knows? But it's like you got to throw a wrench in there, kind of like how CM Punk and Drew did in their match, and you got to like spice things up again. You can't be doing these vignettes and stuff to get, especially if it's like kind of contradicting certain things. Like, I love Rhea, don't get me wrong. I think Rhea is one of the best thing that they poured money into recently. But my main issue with this now is the fact that I kind of wish that they went over this a little bit better and she acknowledged all the faults before she came into this vignette and said what she did, because like you guys already said, it definitely goes to show that this was pre-recorded before certain things happened. And it just makes it's kind of like stuff. It's kind of like repeated stuff that we've heard already, like same material coming out of the mouth. Nothing. This is my issue with everything Judgment Day right now. Not just Rhea and Liv, but with Damien and Priest. It's just a lot of the same shit going on. That's why it's super hard to get into. Like, even with like Finn and Damien, they weren't even on the show tonight. We don't know what the hell's going on with them. And their match felt like a Raw match on Bad Blood. So it's like, I don't know what's going on with Judgment Day right now. I mean, for people that are supposed to run Monday Night Raw and do all this kind of shit, I mean, I don't know what you're running.
You're slacking on the running.
They're
more walking or jogging.
Yeah.
And like that's where all this just frustration just comes from, because it's like we know you can do better. You know,
Yeah.
And I remember saying this like earlier on in the year, but if WWE put just as much effort as they did with the whole bloodline stuff in everything that they did, we would be having much different conversations right now. And
Question: do you
I
think it's
feel
the
like
writer's fault that is the bloodline so good, or is both the corresponding of the writers and the actors that are making the story come to life? Where, for example, you have 10 women, or you have the Judgment Day have a mixed bag of the tag team, the Terror Twins, and all this going on. They have too many people in the story where it's hard to make a cook, and the writers don't know what to do with too many pieces in the board.
Mhm. I feel like it's a mix of things because, like, I think it's a mix of what you were saying, where, like, there might be, different levels of writers or producers working on these segments and all that. But one thing I've always noticed too, around this time of the year, and this mainly speaks with Raw too, with like the quality of Raw. Um, it's also during Monday Night Football,
Yeah.
like during football season, where like not many people like there is a ratings dip with Raw during football season, and usually around that time they don't really give their A game. Sometimes it's their B game, but a lot of times it's their C game. And tonight was kind of their D game,
I have I've noticed that
And so
around
I
October,
think that's a
November,
little bit.
it does get
Mhm.
slow during the football season. Like during Raw around October, November, maybe sometimes SmackDown for the past couple years. Like even back in 2012 or 2016 when I was watching,
Mhm.
around October, November, it will get its slow season stories, or it will get like hiccups that are not as good because of the football season will distract, or the viewership will not be as high. So storytelling probably is as low.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and usually at like the beginning of the year is when it starts picking back up again, because then it's just like, okay, now we got to start building towards the Royal Rumble, and with that comes our road to WrestleMania and all that. And my camera, I knew, no, I'm not even gonna change it. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Fuck it. I legitimately that's how much I care. You know what? Didn't want to put that much care into tonight. So be it. So be it. There. My camera now mirrors the quality of Raw tonight, and I guess this kind of bleeds into our overall thoughts because I don't have anything else to go with the Judgment Day shit.
No, I don't have anything
The
to say
only
about
thing I
that.
got left to say for the overall Raw is that we saw Ethan Page in the back
Oh
with
no.
Adam Pearce, and we saw
Mm.
Ava, who's also promoting for her show for St. Louis tomorrow. I
Yeah.
would say that if you watch the St. Louis show of NXT, watch it with us. Me and Drop will be watching NXT on the sidecast on twitch.tv/Animal Studio. So definitely check that out. That we'll be doing little sidecasts of me and myself and Drop. So, Ethan
Yeah,
Page, what the fuck you doing there, my guy?
I'm not gonna look super into it. It's probably just him wanting to get shit on Punk. He's not going to the main roster. He just came up in July. Yeah. That would be a super fucking quick move to the main roster. No way in hell they're doing that. Fuck no. Because
that would be
again,
crazy if they did,
because
but
again,
yeah.
he'd get lost in the shuffle. There's already a lot of shit going on. If there's an opening, slot him in. But there's nothing for him to slot in right now. I think it's just to get shit on Punk. I don't know if they want to. I don't know if they're trying to do something with Punk in the meantime before he gets to Rollins. But I
Mhm.
personally wouldn't push for that right now. I would let Punk chill for a bit because, one of the things I
Yeah.
will say when it comes to certain things like that is when it comes to, and I see this as like a constant complaint online, and I'm just going to be completely blunt about it. When it comes to top guys like Cody and Gunther and Punk and all the other ones you probably know that I'm referring to, they don't always have to wrestle every night. They don't always have to be there on every single show. They're meant to be a special attraction, especially when they become a champion. Roman Reigns ain't a champion, but when he's there throughout the show, it's big. He doesn't need to be wrestling every single week because once people become when people become the main focus of the shows, they utilize them every so often. That's just how WWE's always been. So I don't know. I think it's just a thing with Ethan Page's character. It's just like, oh, this guy's trying to fuck with me and shit, and I want to get some dirt on him. Would I want to see it? Of course, but I don't think it's super deep.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, just overall thoughts on Raw for you guys. Vash, I guess I'll start with you first. If you have any more to kind of bring up or bring out, let them begin.
As the first 2 hour show in 12 years, I missed my 3 hour because if we're gonna slack in 2 hours and get so much fucking commercial, give me back my 3 hour. Because if you're gonna slack this much and with production, a bit wonky, not know about the White Six, it's like Triple H, what the fuck happened? You better be good in the next week or 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You have 3 more months left of the year, so please get your shit together. Yes, this is the first show, so I'm gonna excuse this for you until next week. I see you for the taping. Hopefully it's a lot better, organized, and because I know from now to next week we might see spoilers from days from now.
Oh, it's already out.
It's out, I know, but I'm trying my best to ignore it and be as positive that's there. However, if we're gonna get shit like this for the next 3 weeks, I mean, it's next 3 months, then I better get like a fast forward button and just go to January 6th and just see the most biggest spectate, since I already heard people speculating or rumors saying that January 6th episode of Netflix will be treated as a PoE or big as that. So
that makes sense.
I'm hyped. Let's go. Other than that, this 2 hour show felt like a sleeper or felt like more like a snooze to the production side, and for the wrestling was good. It was nice. That's all I got.
For me personally, like I'll give it 2 weeks just because I know they're going on this UK tour, so that's probably why a lot of things feel very lackluster. But when it comes to that third week, I'm hoping we can see some better things. So I'll just give it until that point, but I don't really want to repeat what I said already. So I mean, to me, the show wasn't that good. I feel like they when it comes to their first night being 2 hours, they definitely didn't hit at all. Just being honest.
And I mean, even with next week, like thinking of next week being a pre-taped, I mean, when you look at Raw and how much time, because I mean, you guys have been to live shows, so you know how it goes, and how you've been to like Raws and SmackDowns, I'm pretty sure as well. So
I've been going to a Raw one in
y'all
years.
know how it is. Yeah, it's been a while. Like the last Raw I went to. Quick little side note. Last Raw I went to was actually the last Raw before the world shut down.
Oh shit! Wow. Like the year or like the 2019, like the first 3 months of 2020, or the last year 2019?
Yeah, like the last 3 months of 2020. Like it was literally like the Raw they had. It was in DC, I believe. It was where AJ Styles cut a promo calling out the Undertaker for Mania that year, and after that, it was like 2 days later, everything started shutting down. And COVID started taking over the world. So
the only one I've been going to is SmackDown. Like the next one I'm going to, like the last one I went to was in June, and the next event I'm going to SmackDown is October 25th. So that's the next SmackDown I'm going to. The next Raw hasn't been shown up here in New York in a long time. So it's like, hey, at least we got SummerSlam next year.
Cool. Yeah, true. But like to kind of go back with that point there, it's like, okay, if they had pre-taped next week's Raw, then expect a lot of video packages next week on Raw. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now. Like expect a lot of video packages and some backstage segments.
Okay, backstage, sure. Because
be ready.
I'm not expecting it. I'm not expecting it to be any different from tonight.
Yeah, it's not gonna be too different. Tonight
we've been down this road before.
Yeah, tonight sucked. Hands down, tonight
it's
sucked.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Like not every yeah, not every episode needs to be a banger. Not every
Mm-hmm.
chapter needs to be a 10 out of 10. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you need your stinkers in order to truly grasp and appreciate the good that happens, you know? And yeah, tonight was just one of those stinkers, right, Sydney? She
But
says yes.
But talking about stinkers, you know what, guys? It is the moment of time to tell you the plugs for the show because we're about to wrap up with the end of our show. I want to say it from the bottom of my heart for thank you for anyone that stick with us. I know this was a technical difficulty show with the beginning with the YouTube site is supposed to go live, and for our boy Watkins to get his issues on the Wi-Fi and the internet side. So we appreciate for everyone tuning in and the support. Other than that, don't forget everywhere on the social media of Animal Studio, Legend Vash, and Drop This Box, and Watkins W, and hashtag Weebs of the Ring, but also at Weebs of the Ring everywhere else on the Twitter, IG, and the TikTok. They're live, they're active, everything should be the same of the Weebs of the Ring handle, so we appreciate for everyone looking through it. I appreciate for JJ Styles and the chef to be there and love. We appreciate you guys. You guys is what makes the show. So if you guys want to continue being with us and supportive, check our Discord where we have channels and topics to always talk about. And other than that, continue subscribing to the Weebs of the Ring side channel. This channel is all for the wrestling content. November, we're going to be bringing our grappling of the week show. Our full segment news coverage show about other promotions will be there. Other than that, stay tuned for a lot more shorts, clips, reels, and NXT tomorrow with me and dropped on twitch.tv/AnimeWestStudio.
And you know what, JJ, I'm glad my tech issues added to the show to make it fun for you. So, you know what, that makes up for it. That makes up for all the frustration of trying to get things to work for you every night. But
Exactly.
yep. So yeah, make sure, check out all the stuff that we talked about. But yeah, we're gonna take some time to thank you, take time out of your day to check out the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, why not do exactly what Vash just told you guys to do in all the places that you can check out. Just know that we are known as Weebs of the Ring, and we are brought to you, of course, by Anima We Studio. Just remember that we is with a 3. And you can check us out on all those social media platforms just by typing in those simple phrases. You also use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us before, during, or after the shows. Feedback is always appreciated as we are nothing without you guys tuning in. Weebs of the Ring is, again, presented by Anima We Studio, thanks to our production team of Vash, Watkins, Drop This Box, Rome, and Jokester, as well as all the guys that help us in the back for all that you do. Thank you for joining us, and remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody, and remember, if you want a good meal and a good beverage and just an all-around great experience, make sure to be like Vash, have it your way, and go eat at Burger King.
And also play Sparking Zero.
We might be live on Twitch still, depending on how Watkins feel. Bye.
Yeah, we'll see.
On YouTube.